See, the sooner we realize that men fall in love in silence more often than they do through actions, the better for us. Men fall in love in the mind long before they do it in reality. Why? Because they construct futures, they analyze possibilities, they test outcomes internally, and emotionally rehearse interactions with you. So your absence, your consistency, your calm, your boundaries, all of these elements just feed that rehearsal. You're slowly becoming indispensable in the internal world that he can't yet express. And because men are wired to protect vulnerability, the process happens quietly, invisibly, without, fanfare, without messages, without declarations. This is the psychology of men in silence. You need to realize that men often think silence gives them control. They believe that if they step back, their feelings will settle. But with the right woman, silence doesn't reduce anything. What it does is that it amplifies it, it intensifies it. Distance makes him notice you more. Silence just makes him feel the absence more strongly. A woman who knows what she brings to the table doesn't chase. There is a specific kind of silence that men enter into when they care. It's the kind where he is present even in his absence. Men don't process in real time the way that we as women we do. They process backward, we process forward. They feel something deeply and then they withdraw. A man who is completely detached doesn't circle at all. But a man who is fighting his feelings circles back to you in silence. And when a man is quiet but still emotionally plugged into you, you will feel it. His absence will have weight. His silence will have tension. His distance will have depth. And when you feel it, just know that that kind of silence is not the end of a connection. It is the beginning of him realizing that the connection affected him more than he thought. And you don't have to chase him. Because at the end of the day, you are the fucking prize. Your job is not to manipulate him. Your calm, your presence, your steady life, your boundaries, these are tools that maintain the subtle influence that you hold over him. See, a man who is tethered to you silently is being influenced by your very essence. He is the proof that your influence is magnetic, it is enduring, and it is absolute. When a man goes quiet, most of us women, we panic because we assume silence equals disinterest. But with men, that is almost never the case. Men don't detach the same way that we do. A woman's silence usually means she's emotionally stepping back. She's training her heart to let go, or she's creating distance to self-protect. But a man's silence is not detachment. It is emotional management. When a man still cares, his quietness is crowded, it is active, and it is full of internal noise. He may not speak, but he is reacting. He may not reach out to you, but he is monitoring. He may not even explain himself, but he's processing something that does not yet have the language for. Are you getting me? So understand that a man who is truly done becomes flat. You won't feel anything from him. His energy drops. His emotional presence collapses. There is absolutely no tension, no subtle pull, no invisible cord. He doesn't check your stories. He doesn't respond internally when he thinks about you. All right? He doesn't even wonder what you're posting or doing. He doesn't care. He becomes emotionally hollow towards you because he has already shifted his heart elsewhere. And you will feel it energetically, you would. But a man who still cares does not become flat. His silence, as a matter of fact, has tone, it has mood, it has temperature, and it has movement. You can feel him in it. His silence doesn't sit still. It rises and falls. Some days he feels close, other days he feels apart, far away. Sometimes he watches you quietly, and that inconsistency is not avoidance. It is emotional conflict that he feels. Because men are not taught how to sit with overwhelming emotions. So when a man feels something deeper than he expected to feel, especially after intimacy, he retreats, not because he wants distance, but because he wants clarity. So understand that men withdraw when something touches them in a way that they can't immediately interpret. They go silent because they're trying to understand why you're still on their mind, why the connection feels different from every other connection that he's had in the past, why their usual emotional control isn't working anymore when it comes to you. They hate that feeling. They hate feeling like they can't switch off their thoughts. They hate noticing you even when nothing is happening. They hate replaying moments that they thought that they had moved past. So they step back to try to reset, but the reset never completes because the connection is still alive. See, there is a specific kind of silence that men enter into when they care. It's the kind where he is present even in his absence. You will feel him watching you even if he never likes or comments on your post. You will feel the emotional tension, the pull lingering underneath. You will notice small digital footprints, story views at odd hours, sudden appearance on your page, brief, just a brief spike of attention, then the withdrawal again. I had to bring up this topic because I've seen, conversations in the comment section where people are talking about silence, how men withdraw and how their silence actually affect them. If you understand why these men withdraw, you will care less about what time duration they withdraw, and you will hold up your own end, not for him, but for yourself, living your life like it's golden, whether he comes or he doesn't come. You don't bloody care. At the end of the day, you are the fucking prize. I need you to believe it at whatever stage of your life that you're in, that you are the prize. And another thing that you need to understand is that men do not monitor women they no longer care about. And when a man is done, he stops checking you. The moment he stops noticing, he is truly gone. But if he's still there silently, something in him is still attached, even if he's trying to suppress it. This is the psychology of men in silence. You need to realize that men often think silence gives them control. They believe that if they step back, their feelings will settle. But with the right woman, silence doesn't reduce anything. What it does is that it amplifies it, it intensifies it. Distance makes him notice you more. Silence just makes him feel the absence more strongly, because time makes the memory sharpen instead of fade. He may try to convince himself that he's over with you, he's done and dusted, but the truth slips out in the way that he circles back, even if quietly. A man who is completely detached doesn't circle at all. But a man who is fighting his feelings circles back to you in silence. He's checking your page, he's viewing your updates, he's remembering certain detail about you, he's wondering how you feel, he's testing whether you've moved on or not. But all those silly, casual, hi, what's up? Or those late night calls. That's not a man who is detached. That's a man who is attached. And this is why you would often feel that emotional presence of a man, even when nothing is being said. You feel him. His silence isn't empty. It is reflective. He's thinking about the last conversation that you had, the last time that he saw you, the energy you exchanged, the way that you made him feel in moments that he didn't expect to be vulnerable. Let me tell you how they work psychologically, right? They feel things, men feel things deeply, and then they withdraw later to analyze it. And in that analysis, they begin to realize what the connection actually meant to them. They don't get clarity while they are with you. No, they get clarity after you pull back. That's why you're not supposed to chase. When a man goes ghosting on you, or when a man goes silent on you, don't chase. Because when you chase, you disrupt that process of him analyzing what you mean to him in that process. See, a man's quietness contains the truth he is not ready to admit. If the connection meant nothing, he would feel nothing. But if the connection touched him, even slightly, his silence will never be peaceful. He will think, he will replay, he will analyze, he will compare, and he will question. He will wonder if he misread you, especially when you're not chasing. He'll wonder if he acted too slowly. He'll wonder if you felt something too. He'll wonder if he should reach out to you. He will wonder if you've even moved on. And even if he says nothing, all that internal noise shows up in the way that he moves around you, digitally and emotionally. So you've got to watch the patterns. This is a part where we as women, we misunderstand. And it's in the fact that men don't show their attachment loudly at the beginning, right? They show it through the way they behave in silence. That's why you can see a man chasing a girl, chasing the girl, and when the girl accepts and now fully accommodate them, they retrieve. That retrieving is them trying to analyze if you're the best fit for them. And what you do in that process is very, very critical. If you go chasing because you do not know your worth, you will reaffirm the fact that maybe you're not a best fit for him. Because listen, their real feelings surface when they are alone with their own thoughts. And when a man is quiet but still emotionally plugged into you, you will feel it. His absence will have weight. His silence will have tension. His distance will have depth. And when you feel it, just know that that kind of silence is not the end of a connection. It is the beginning of him realizing that the connection affected him more than he thought. And you know the funny thing? Men don't vocalize this. They don't confess it early at all. But they would reveal it in the small, quiet, subtle ways that they stay connected even while pretending that they're not. So ladies, let's go deeper, because silence has layers. And the kind of silence a man gives you tells you everything about where you stand in his emotional world. A man who is quiet and still connected to you is not absent. He's observing, he's processing, and he's reacting internally in ways that you can't always see. He may not call you, he may not text you, he may not even engage openly, but he's watching, he's comparing, he's evaluating, and he's imagining. That's why you have to have a life of your own outside of him. Because his mind becomes a private space where he plays out interactions with you. He replays your words, he analyzes your energy, and he pictures scenarios where you are involved. See, the sooner we realize that men fall in love in silence more often than they do through actions, the better for us. Because love for men begins in absence. They need time to reconcile desire with logic. They are logical beings. They need time to reconcile curiosity with restraint, feelings with expression. That is why the quiet man who still cares will leave gaps for you in his mind and heart. And those gaps are not empty. They are evidence that he has not replaced you, that you still occupy a space that he cannot feel, that your influence over him still remains strong even if he says nothing. So you can see it in the small cracks of behavior that betrays him. He may all of a sudden just react to something that you posted. He may mirror your timing or your rhythm without knowing that he's actually doing it. He may even hesitate before he fully detaches. You will find him resisting engagement, not out of disinterest, but because fully confronting his feelings would expose how attached he is to you. And that tension is power, your invisible power. And it exists precisely because he cannot ignore you mentally. And you don't have to chase him. You don't have to convince him. Your job is not to manipulate him. Your calm, your presence, your steady life, your boundaries, these are tools that maintain the subtle influence that you hold over him. See, a man who is tethered to you silently is being influenced by your very essence. So the mistake that we make as women in this moment are pretty much predictable. We panic, we over-communicate, we reach out, we clarify, we guilt trip, we chase. And the moment you do that, you break the delicate balance. You shift from being the woman whose absence amplifies his awareness to the woman whose presence requires explanation. Because real influence, the kind that keeps a man quietly tethered to you, comes from letting him sit in his own mind and feel the weight of your absence. When you do this, trust me, bestie, he will be forced to confront what he feels. He will be forced to process. He will be forced to integrate and reflect on what you mean to him. And every pause that you take, every moment that you allow yourself to be whole without seeking validation, just basically strengthens the imprints that you leave in his mental and emotional world. Listen, for you to get a man hooked, I've told you time and time again, you've got to imprint on him. So understand that the quiet man who is still emotionally entangled is carrying your presence in ways that he can't verbalize. Don't ever be afraid because he's silent. The more he's silent, the more you should hold your power by staying feminine. And staying in your feminine energy is you not chasing, is you being in your empress mode. Empresses don't chase. They don't. You stay in your power and let them come correct to you. It is not manipulation. It is you knowing who you are and what you carry, what you bring to the table. A woman who knows what she brings to the table doesn't chase, no matter how much she loves a man. We don't chase, and it's not pride, baby, because you're not meant to chase. Do you understand? So the sooner that you realize that the quiet man who is still emotionally entangled is carrying your presence in ways that he cannot even fathom, in ways that he cannot even, vocalize or verbalize. He's anchoring feelings internally. He's imagining futures. He's replaying moments. He's testing himself against your influence. And the funny thing is that he may resist engagement because he fears vulnerability, because he fears losing control, because he doesn't want to expose the depth of his attachment to you, because he doesn't want you to think that you have any hold or power over him. He wants to be in control. But even in that resistance, he's bound to you. Your power is not performative. It is subtle, it is psychological, and it is enduring. It shows up in what he does not say and cannot prevent. So here's the truth that you need to internalize as woman. If a man is quiet, but your absence moves him, if he studies your energy without speaking, if he cannot fully detach or replace you mentally, you still have power over him. And that power is invisible, but very magnetic. It is quiet, yet unshakable. It is psychological, not physical. And it grows stronger and stronger. The longer you hold yourself steady, radiant, and independent, the more chaotic his mind is about you, the more obsessed and drawn he would be. See, your presence in his internal world is an evidence that you matter, that your influence exists even in his silence, and that he has not yet resolved you emotionally. So if you're going through a silent period with your man, understand that your power is still in your own silence. Let them come to you. So embrace this understanding and stop panicking. Stop chasing. Stop seeking clarity where it is unnecessary. Hold your life. Hold your energy, your joy, and your boundaries intact. Because when you do, you're not passive, you're powerful. And a man who is silently tethered to you will continue to think, he will continue to feel, and he will continue to process you. He will be building attachment in ways that no conversation, no calls, no message could ever accomplish. And this is the art of holding influence, even when he says nothing. And see, this is deep, dark psychology. This is the invisible architecture of emotional connection that most of us don't understand. This is how you remain magnetic, anchored, and unforgettable, even in silence. Hallelujah. So briefly, let's just talk about the hidden dimension of, silence. The hidden dimension of silence, right? Let's just talk about the layers beneath the surface, the part of male silence that no one talks about. See, most people think silence is either disinterest or manipulation. Rarely do we understand that silence is where the real processing, the real emotional structuring happens. When a man is quiet, especially one who still feels you, he's doing something invisible and profound. He's reconciling his desire for you with his sense of self, his world view, and, his capacity for vulnerability. And this is a private dimension that doesn't appear in text calls or even gestures. It's mental and emotional rehearsal of your presence, your energy, your impact, the impacts that you've had on him. So inside that silence, he creates a private narrative, a mental map where you exist as more than a person, more than a body, more than a set of behaviors. You become a force that he has to process. You become a weight that he has to measure. You become a presence that he can't ignore. Like he replays movement, not just for memory's sake, but to analyze, the emotional resonance, the subtle cues, your tone, your energy, your essence. Every interaction just becomes data that he stores, he files, and he revisits in his quiet time, mostly at night. This is where attachment forms differently from what, we women expect. You're not winning him with conversations. You're basically imprinting on him invisibly, psychologically, energetically, in ways that he may never even tell you. Do you know how men wrestle with their own inability to articulate this kind of attachment? He might look composed, he might look indifferent or disengaged on the surface, but underneath, there is a storm raging that you don't know about, that he will never tell you. He's weighing feelings he doesn't fully understand, against fear, against pride, against societal conditioning, and the instinct to protect himself from being emotionally exposed. You will find him asking question, why am I thinking about this woman so much? Why can't I just detach like I detach from every other woman? Why does she occupy my mind when I'm trying to focus on work, life, and other things? And these are not surface level thoughts. They are a wrestling match between desire and control, between vulnerability and ego. And this is why the quiet man who still feels you can be inconsistent. He will show flashes of attention, then he would retreat. These push and pull dynamics. He will check your life silently, then disappear for months. He might just seem distant, but those micro movements, the timing of his views, the way that he notices your presence without even speaking, those are evidence of an internal gravitational pull that he cannot override. And we as women, we often misread this as hesitation or ambivalence. But it is deeper than that. It is a man's internal struggle with attachment, with emotional exposure, and then the realization that you have altered his mental landscape. And you know what? There is another layer that men carry your imprint even when they're not trying to. You've probably noticed that quiet man sometimes behave as if they've moved on. Yet certain triggers, a certain status update with a man or a photo or a small change in your energy just snaps him back into consciousness of you. That's the hidden dimension of your influence. You exist inside him as a reference point. His mind compares, his mind calculates and adapts constantly. So he's emotionally tethered even when he's silent, even when he resists engagement, even when he appears detached. That tether is invisible, it is unspoken, but it is real, deeply real. That's why he will just show up calling you from nowhere, from the blue. You see a call from him after months of not calling you. Kilo J. Especially when he says, oh, he's not ready he's not ready for love and all of that. And all of a sudden he's orbiting around you periodically on heavily emotion laden day. he's all of a sudden he's orbiting around you, especially on occasions that are heavily emotionally laden. Christmas time, Valentine time, he's calling. Now, the next level that I want to open our eyes as women into, that we oftentimes miss or we don't even understand, is that men fall in love in the mind long before they do it in reality. Why? Because they construct futures, they analyze possibilities, they test outcomes internally and emotionally rehearse interactions with you. So your absence, your consistency, your calm, your boundaries, all of these elements just feed that rehearsal. You're slowly becoming indispensable in the internal world that he can't yet express. And because men are wired to protect vulnerability, the process happens quietly, invisibly, without, fanfare, without messages, without declarations. And if you do not understand this depth, you'll be frantic. See, he's quietly tethered to you. He's quietly affected. He's quietly building attachment in ways that becomes permanent. And this only happens when you've emotionally anchored yourself with him for a bit of time. And how do you emotionally anchor yourself? It's in the conversations that you have. It's in the romantic moments that you share together with him. Now, here's the truth that you must know. Your influence over a man who is quiet and still connected is invisible, it is profound, and it is almost untouchable. And it doesn't require manipulation. It doesn't require chasing or any form of control. It doesn't rely on words or explanation. It exists purely because you left a mark that he can't erase, baby. Because your presence altered his internal emotional landscape. And because he's processing that in silence. So he may not show it, he may not even speak it, he may just resist it, but it is happening without you even knowing. It is happening constantly, and it is so powerful. That's why you need to give them time to process whatever they need to process in their silence. You bloody don't care. As long as you're having your life, you're going out with friends, you're securing the bag, you're securing the chiching. You're not waiting for any bloody man. He comes, he doesn't, your life doesn't change or stop because of him. So baby, if you can step into this understanding that a quiet man's internal world is active, that your absence only magnifies it, that your energy resonates in him, even when he doesn't act, you hold a kind of magnetic unseen power that most women never fully realize. So your job is not to push. Your job is not to explain or chase. Your job is to live fully, radiate quietly, and just allow the space for him to come. Because the quiet man who is processing you is building attachment. He's he's reflecting, he's desiring, and he's building an emotional narrative where you remain central. That is a dimension most of us women will never get to hear about. Yet it is basically where lasting influence, lasting emotional connection, and lasting attraction truly reside. Now let's talk about the invisible imprint that you can leave on a man who cares even when he says nothing. And this is beyond gesture. It is beyond, text messages and all of those stuff. This is deeper than moments of intimacy or whatever shared experiences that you've had with him. This is the layer where your energy, your essence, your presence embeds itself inside his mind and heart, silently shaping his thoughts, silently shaping his emotions, redirecting his emotions and reactions. See, when a man is quiet, but he is still emotionally attached, what that tells is that he's still carrying pieces of you everywhere in the way that he perceives his day, in his decisions that he makes, in a mental narrative that he constructs. Your laughter just echoes in his memory. Your energy becomes a reference point for what he desires. Your absence doesn't push him away. It amplifies the imprint. He doesn't need to see you to feel you. He doesn't need to touch you to remember, the pool that you create. That is the silent architecture of attachment. This is why he can go days without speaking, yet remain tethered. And you will feel the energy, even when you both are not speaking. Even when he seems detached, his mind constantly returns to you. He revisits your interaction. He imagines scenarios where you're involved. He wonders how you would respond to situations. He measures, what he's doing is that he's measuring himself against your standard, your energy, your presence, and you are just a compass that he cannot ignore. And he doesn't even have to consciously acknowledge it. His subconsciousness does the work for him. Now, ladies, come together. Understand that men fall in love through this invisible imprint before they even say a word. Words are external. They can be fake or delayed. Actions can be inconsistent. But the energy that you leave inside him, the emotional tension that you create without trying, the presence that you radiate, even in your own silence, that is permanent. That is a part of attachment that he cannot undo, even if he wants to. That's why, absence magnifies your influence. And that's why your calm, your consistent, radiant energy is more powerful, more potent than any chasing can do, than any conversation can make, than any declaration. So I'll tell you for a fact, this imprint works in small, almost imperceptible ways. He will feel a pang of curiosity when he sees a story that you post. And he may just pause mid-thought because your image, your energy just drifts across his mind. And he may even hesitate before engaging with someone else, because part of him is still tied to the emotional map that you created. And every time that he resists engagement, every time that he avoids reaching out, it is not because, the connection is gone. It is because your imprint is too potent, too magnetic, too disruptive to his ego and control. So the time has come for us women to understand the power that lies within us. It is not in what we say, it is not in what we do, but it is in what we are. Our energy, our presence, our essence, our aura, our quiet sovereignty. All of this lives in him, regardless of whether he admits it or not. And here's the key truth. The stronger your life, the stronger your joy, your calmness, and your radiance is, the more unshakable your imprint becomes. Because a man can resist or may even hide. He may even appear detached. But the truth is, he will carry your influence everywhere he goes if your life is solid without him. And you know what? That is silent power. That is invisible attachment that you have on him. That's an influence that you have on him. That is a psychological reality most of us women never get to understand. And finally, I need you to understand this, that the longer he sits in silence, the more the imprint grows. You might think that he has forgotten you, but it's not the case. It's not the case, especially if both of you have been emotionally involved. You've exchanged energy in an intimate way. That imprint, the more the silence, the more the imprint grows. Understand that silence is the crucible where he tests his feelings, where he integrates desire with logic, where he weighs, connection against ego, and he just imagines a future where you still exist in his world. And while he does that quietly, without even telling you, without messaging you, or without even revealing anything, the internal attachment he forms, becomes far stronger than any superficial connection that can be made through words alone. Your presence, even your absence, becomes a force that he cannot ignore. It becomes a reality that he cannot escape. It becomes a tether that holds him quietly, holds him privately, but persistently. So if you embrace this understanding as a woman, you will no longer fear silence. You will no longer feel powerless when he pulls away, because you already know it. You know that your energy, your life, your presence, your quiet, your influence, all of this is far more powerful than any message, than any call or any declaration of love. And the man who is tethered to you silently, who carries your imprint in his mind, who cannot replace you, he is a proof that your influence is magnetic, it is enduring, and it is absolute. With that, we wrap it all up here. Do subscribe, share, and like. All right? Until I come your way, when I do come your way, do know that I love you and God loves you best. Mwah. Bye.